are classic wooden powerboats. They're primarily constructed of mahogany and heavy on the chrome accents. Most of them are 60, 80, even 100 years old. Built by hand, board by true craftsmen. You don't own this kind of boat because you need to, or because you want to. You own this kind of boat because you have to. And that's what Mahogany and Chrome is all about. In French, the term Coeur d'Alene roughly translates to heart like an awl. This is an awl. It's an ancient tool still used to punch holes in tough leather and hides. Coeur d'Alene was a term of respect French fur traders used for the hard-bargaining Native Americans they encountered in northern Idaho. And on this episode of Mahogany and Chrome, the awl is the perfect tool to describe the power and precision of today's contemporary classic, Jefe. Lake Coeur d'Alene offers all kinds of boating, and it's home to a number of exceptional classic and contemporary watercraft. It's easy to see why. Named one of the 5 most beautiful lakes in the world by National Geographic, Coeur d'Alene was formed in this pristine mountain setting during the last ice age. Stretching over 26 miles with 135 miles of scenic shoreline, it feels like Coeur d'Alene was created just for classic powerboats. What started out in the early 1800s as a remote fur trading post, then a frontier military fort, quickly became a jumping tourist destination. By 1910, there were more steamboats on Lake Coeur d'Alene than any other body of water west of the Mississippi. With the advent of the internal combustion engine, and with plenty of lumber barons and rich tourists needing to get around, Coeur d'Alene naturally became a hotspot for wooden powerboats, and home to a number of small independent boat builders, most of them, and their boats, long since forgotten. Offering beautiful views, plenty of space, and world-class recreational activities, Lake Coeur d'Alene is once again a favorite getaway for celebrities, professional athletes, retirees, and people from all walks of life who enjoy the beauty and endless opportunities of a bustling community with a small-town vibe. Here, classic boating never went out of style, and a handful of contemporary boat builders are still cranking out truly legendary mahogany and chrome beauties in the old-school tradition. The designers and boatwrights at Coeur Customs restore all types of classics, but are best known for building some of the world's finest custom powerboats on the water, marrying the best qualities of wood builds with modern materials and power plants. Have a look at their flagship build, an instant classic, and its name is Jefe. Designed by powerboat racing legend Jerry Gilbreath, Jefe is the perfect embodiment of design and power and finesse. Every design cue of Jefe reflects the wisdom and experience you can only gain from exceeding 200 miles per hour on the water. Much as you'd expect, it takes someone with nothing less than a heart like an awl to captain an iconic boat like Jefe. So who has the charisma and strong hand to keep this water stallion under a tight rein? Well, someone like 88-year-old native New Yorker, Korean War veteran, and lifelong entrepreneur, Murray Danzig.
As a matter of fact, I was born in Brooklyn. Then we moved to Queens and down out to Long Island. And out of 6 children, I'm the only one with a New York accent. And I attribute to the fact that I watched The Godfather too many times. Now, the first boat I actually owned was an old wooden rowing boat, and I had a little outboard motor on it. Now look at me. And I always had a lust for this boat. I watched this boat being built, by the way, from the keel up. When Gilbreath first started, they were building Sizzler, which is Dwayne Hagedorn's boat, and Jefe. We didn't know the name was Jefe at the time, and I used to stop in weekly to watch the progress. Everything was done to precision. I mean, I used to wonder, you're still sanding the same piece of wood when I was here last week. But that's what they did. Jerry was very fastidious about how they built this boat, and Perhaps that reflected in the cost. Jerry Gilbreath, he's a boat racer, ocean boat racing, and he was a pretty famous, and then he was a consultant for Mercury Marine, and he knows a lot, judging from the engine that what he designed here. He's very, very knowledgeable, very knowledgeable. The engines are two small block Mercury engines, 400 horsepower each, 400. So this thing really flies, and has a special wide design exhaust, and it's a stern drive, but the motors are forward for balance on this boat. But look what he turned out. And it's his own design. And you know, there's a difference between a production boat and a custom boat. And many custom boats I've seen, they have things that I wouldn't want, and I probably have things they wouldn't want. For example, if you notice in this boat, there are no cup holders. There's no stereo. It was designed for a show boat, and it won several or many prizes. But I think Jerry was tired of winning prizes, so he sold the boat to me.
Jefe's designer Jerry Gilbreath might have grown tired of winning awards for his amazing creation, but you can never get tired of hearing the passion in Murray's voice when he talks about his pride and joy. The build specs of this nautical love affair are still to come. You ever wonder what it takes to build a multiple award-winning custom wood boat? Here's the specs on Jefe. Jefe required 6,500 man-hours of labor to complete, weighing in at a hefty 7,000 pounds and measuring a full 34 feet. Jefe is definitely long on mahogany, a full 3 layers of African mahogany. But something the boat is short on is the chrome hardware many classic boating fanatics crave. Yet you hardly even notice, and it's all by design.
It's so clean. The design of it is fantastic, but it's so clean. You don't have all that gingerbread on it, that chrome, that air scoops and spotlights and you name it. It's a clean looking boat. It's what a boat should be. And I think what impressed me, it's difficult to say because another boat company uses the same term, but this is built like a Steinway, like a fine piece of furniture. I mean, if you look at the finish on this, and it's covered with 25 coats of a varnish called Alexseal. And just having ridden in the boat, I just fell in love with it, or fell in lust with it. The ride is entirely different. It's like flying in a 747 as opposed to flying in a Piper Cub. This particular hull design that Jerry designed, it takes off on an even plane. In other words, the bow doesn't go up, and then you have to, as my racing boat, my Hacker, I have to stand to see over the bow. This boat rises and increases in speed at a level, so you don't have to look over the bow. That was one of the first things. The second thing is that the boat is very maneuverable, very maneuverable. And the third thing is, it's so darn pretty. I love looking at it. Sometimes I live on the lake here, and sometimes I'll just get into Jefe and go out in the middle of the lake and just sit there and bounce around as we're doing right now. Why? I'm sitting in it right now. You know why. Why does a person buy a Rolls Royce to sit in it?
If you're ever lucky enough to get a ride in Jefe, one of the first things you're going to notice, well, besides the rumble of the perfectly tuned engines, the luxurious accents that hit just the right notes and the excellent ride quality, is that the cockpit is virtually wind-free, making the whole experience even more enjoyable.
Well, the wind-free cockpit was designed by Jerry Gilbreath. As a matter of fact, in the building of this boat, he had a mock-up of the whole cockpit sent to the glass people to design the glass to fit this boat. And this is half-inch glass on this windshield. There's certain things you learn about a wood boat that you don't have to worry about in a fiberglass boat. And that's part of owning it. It's like owning a horse. I've had lots of horses. My son was quite an accomplished equestrian, but if you own a horse, you have to be able to accept taking care of the horse. There's no bargain in wood boats. You have to really be devoted to it. And unless you're really going to give it the time, don't buy a wooden boat. But once you do, you become addicted.
Hang tight. Jefe owner Murray Danzig is going to share how a city boy from Brooklyn comes to own the boat of a lifetime on one of the most beautiful lakes in the world. If you're anything like me, you wonder, how did this person arrive at this point in life? And the same could be said for Murray Danzig, the fascinating owner of the Coeur Customs built Jefe.
When I was a young fellow, you're not gonna believe this, I wanted to be a farmer. Would you believe it? Because I was a city boy, and farming was a new life to me. We thought milk came from a grocery store. We didn't know it came from cows. I left home when I was 17. Went to Wisconsin, because that's all I had fare for, was to get as far as Wisconsin. And I lived in Wisconsin for a number of years. Went to Korea in 1952. Returned in 53. And my life grew from there. I spent 28 years making Pepsi-Cola, Mountain Dew, A&W Root, you name it. It was a good business, a very good business. Soft drink business was a very good business. The important thing in life is when you fall down, get up and start walking again. You know, it's like I used to tell people out in sales, the only way you're going to make a living in this business is by making the calls. Not sitting in a bar telling about, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that. You have to make the calls and go to your worst customer first. Because if you conquer that customer, the whole day is made. I've been interviewed all day and enjoying your company. Would you like to go for another ride?
Outfitted with twin 400 horsepower V8s, Jefe definitely possesses a heart like an awl, ready to pierce through the toughest water with ease. However, I quickly learned her owner Murray Danzig has anything but. A day spent with Murray is a day spent with a living, breathing mahogany and chrome classic. Authentic, solidly built, full of character, and memories with just the right amount of patina.
Frankly, I have no regrets in life. When you get to my age and you reflect back, this might sound very silly to you, I do reflect back on the pleasant things. I do not think about the hard times, and there were hard times. But what's the sense of re-raking the coals? At my age in life, I think this particular boat represents what I wanted in boating. This is the zenith, top of boats.
It's always a great day on the water. If you like what you saw, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button, and we'll keep bringing you more antique and classic boat adventures. I'm Ty Harkott. We'll see you next time on Mahogany and Chrome.